Alright guys, so if you look at my social media, you will notice that it says rapper, singer, producer, and robot. And I rap and sing and produce, but sometimes people ask me why it says that I'm a robot. So I think there are a lot of reasons, but those reasons can be divided into two main categories. One of them is branding, which is what this video is about. The other one I'll tell you about at the end. But for now, here are the three main reasons, from a marketing perspective, a branding perspective, why I tell people I'm a robot. Number one is novelty. No fucking rapper calls himself a robot or brands themselves as one. My hypothesis, all of this is it's theory, and I'm exercising it to the point where I will get results and really see them. But how persistently I'm trying to carry out those results is ultimately what will prove whether or not they happen, I like to think. But my hypothesis is that people will eventually begin to associate me with the idea of a robot as my brand builds over time. There's also my work ethic. Any similarities between Samuel and robots, people are theoretically going to link, like, people will reach for more reasons and shit to be like, dude, the fucking robot did it again when I dropped new projects or something. I don't know how true these things are, but again, they are a hypothesis. I hate coming across as self-centered in these videos, but these videos are really only for people who are willing to listen to them to the fullest extent and kind of take my content for face value without trying to look at it too, you know, not objectively. Like, why do you think people say that Mark Zuckerberg is a robot? Why do you think people say that Jeff Bezos is a robot? Why do people say that Elon Musk is a robot? And I guess my point is that these guys are fucking not rappers, at least that I know of. But for whatever reasons they are called robots, I am hypothesizing that in time, I believe strongly enough that people will call me a robot for similar reasons that pertain to my music and or work ethic. And again, I'm not trying to like brag by saying I'm unique or anything like that. I'm trying to say that over time, I have personally found that these things, more than anything, separate me from most other artists and producers through the feedback of others. Everybody has got something. The positive feedback, by the way. The negative feedback, I mean, I guess that may have something to do with it. I don't know. But everybody has something that makes them stand out in some general way. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. My thing is my similarities between robots and that, for me, in the perceptions of other people. But like, anytime I talk about myself like this in a video, I always mean to really direct it onto the viewer and be like, what about you though? Like, what are you really passionate about that other artists and producers are not? And if it's nothing in particular, is there something you're passionate about that other artists and or producers are also passionate about? How passionate are you about it? What are your perspectives on it? A lot of branding is kind of just like whose brand ultimately dominates the marketplace the most, in a way. But only time will tell when you go as hard as you can. Speaking of time, the next reason is number two, the future. In 20 years, if you are or have been or will have been a fan of my music, and I never called myself a robot in the first place, and today, and tomorrow, and every day until then, you probably wouldn't be thinking about me every time you saw a robot. In 2039, I'm not saying with certainty that there will be robots everywhere, but I can guarantee you there will be more robots all over the place than there are today. So it's branding, it's psychological. I'm always saying on here that associations are the building blocks of thought. Everything that I think will be inescapable in the future, based on my research, is everything I seem to be talking about in my music, if not a lot of it, emulating in these videos. I want to embody the future as a whole in one artist, one producer, one entity. I know that sounds fucking intense, but like, dude, I always would prefer to have a sound of intensity over a sound of anything closer to indifference. But what do your fans, your clients, your customers associate with you? What should they associate with you that they wouldn't normally associate with other people? And if it is something that they normally would associate with other people, how can you exploit it? How can you take something old and make it new? If you can't do something like this, try taking something new and make it seem old. But what do you want to be synonymous with? If you want to talk about synonymous, is it only going to be your image? What do you talk about in interviews? Of all the things that separate you as a brand from other artists and or producers, for me at least, it's number three, the sound. It reflects in my production style. Again, I like to think, and some people around the block who have given me their thoughts, my singing style, and even my rapping style. It's all intentionally just meant to sound robotic, very robotic in a way, some way, shape, or form, and consistently. If you are trying to get good at branding,
I cannot stress consistency enough.
I like to make natural things sound unnatural. With my beats, I like taking natural sounds, like chirping birds or crying babies, or or babbling brooks and volcano eruptions. Anything that sounds natural, and putting more effects on top of it, like phasers or flangers or chopping it up, and panning each little cut from left to right chaotically and back, but turning the volume down and like getting rid of the low end and spreading it across the stereo so that it's very subtle. I like using synthesizers that you would hear in Daft Punk and Skrillex songs and shit. Like, I take a lot of heavy influence from EDM, when it comes to production at least. I love Knife Party, Cruella, Adventure Club, Yellow Claw, anything that you hear and you're like, dude, this doesn't really sound natural. In fact, it sounds nothing but unnatural. With my singing, I like to use something in Logic Pro called Flex Pitch, which I will talk about in another video eventually. But the way I use Flex Pitch sounds very smooth and clean. It's just what I want. So I can save all that cleanliness for the dirty shit I do on top of it. The effects. Like, I love to use Isotope Vocal Synth and automate the Polyvox Foreman up and down over when I even chop the shit out of my vocals and tune those vocal chops into what mocks the cadence and melody of an electric guitar solo, like I do in my song Waterworld in the last verse. There are so many things I do with it, but probably the most astonishing example in my solo music that I can think of, and I try to look at my solo music
Very objectively.
rapping, I probably gotta save for a different video because there's just that much that goes into it. Same with singing. But like the shit with Waterworld is just like an example. All of these things, your sound, your image, your novelty, what makes you different from other artists, other producers, your uniqueness. These things are theoretically, I want to say, meant to be associated with each other. And that is as your fan base, your customer base grows, it turns into your brand. An amazing book on personal branding that I got some of these ideas from initially and started really fucking playing with before kind of crystallizing and solidifying them a little bit over time. I'll link it in the description if you guys want to check out the reviews. It's called How the World Sees You by Sally Hogshead. But okay, all that from a branding and marketing perspective is why I tell people I'm a robot. Eventually, I'm gonna have a video talking about the personal reasons. But I don't think I know exactly enough about those yet. What do you guys think? You don't have to tell me I'm weird or anything like that. I know it already very deep down in my fucking
Metal heart.
Sometimes I just look at artists and producers and think, do these people not know anything about branding? Other times, I look at myself and think, do you know anything about branding? Like, maybe they know far more than you do if they're fucking doing shit that you're not. I'm just trying to look at all sides of the die here. If you guys have any ideas for future videos that you want me to talk about, let me know in the comments below and I will give you a shout out if and when I use them. If you have any questions, please feel free to hit me up. There are links at the bottom of the description to all my social media. Also at the bottom of the description, there are links to my new production kits where you can find all the hardware and software that I use to make music and these videos. If you buy any, I get commission, which helps me build this channel and keep making these videos for you guys. I made all the beats in this video. If you want to use them, you can find links to each one in the description from first to last or at samuel.earth/beats. Make sure to leave a like if you like it, subscribe if you haven't already. If you could turn on that little bell to receive a notification every time I drop a new video, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can find me everywhere and I will see you then.